Welcome back, nerds. So in this video, we're going to get started. We're not going to get too far into actually designing anything because I'm going to show you guys how to import libraries and how to do some of the interface settings for you to get started in situation with Eagle. So let's go ahead and get started. We can go to File, New, Schematic. There are other options for projects and board, but we'll just start with the schematic here. So when you do that, you're going to notice that if you're using Mac, it'll just be tied into one new tab inside the original Eagle. In Windows, it may be the same or it may be in a separate window. When we do the board, it'll also be in a separate window as well, and I'll show you guys in a second. So here's your schematic. Your schematic may start out white, and I'll show you guys how to change it to black. And the way you do that is you go here up to the top, there's options, and then user interface. And here you can see several options. So you guys may have it looking something like this with the sheets even on the side, but I don't really use sheets that often, so I'm going to get rid of them. But yours may start something like this. So again, we can go to options, user interface, and so yours might be white here with the sheets. If you guys go to board, click here to generate or switch to board. It'll ask you, do you want to create a board from the schematic? We're going to say yes, and you'll notice the board comes up, and again, this one is white as well. It may be black by default. I don't remember what the defaults are for Eagle anymore. So I'm going to go back to the schematic real quick, and here we're going to go to options and user interface. And here you'll see several options that we can play with. Don't worry about them too much. So I'm going to go through some of the ones that I like. So first, I don't like seeing those sheets. I don't also like seeing command buttons, but I'm going to leave them up for you guys so you can see, but usually I'm not going to use any of these buttons. But when you first start out, it's good to see them so you know what commands you have at your disposal. For the background, I like my background black. For presenting, it's nice and white, and if you like it white, you can keep it white. You can change your cursor if you want. I'm just gonna leave mine small. Keep detect board shape. It's actually very useful. For background on the schematic, I like it to be black as well. Keep the cursor small. You can keep everything else by default. You may have spice simulation checked. I like to leave that unchecked. You can leave Fusion 360 in manufacturing. That's when you're on the board layer and has the option to push it to Fusion, and we'll use that as well. You can change the icon size, but that's just for these guys on the left. Maybe on the top bar as well, but I think it's just for the left. I would recommend keeping always vector font and persistent index drawing checked, and all these you can just leave by default. So we're going to go ahead and click OK, and it'll change it to black for me and get rid of the sheets. Again, if you want to keep them, you're more than welcome to. And if we go to board, it should be black as well. If you see here this outline, this is the board outline, and everything outside of it is gray. This is what it meant by detecting the board shape. And so if you ever see one like this, for example, it doesn't detect that the board is closed or forms a loop or circuit, and thus it shows that no gray anywhere. So when it's closed, it'll show the gray. So this is a good indicator to tell when you have a closed board. Otherwise, you may have some trouble manufacturing it later. Great. So some other settings I want to show you guys. Notice here that we had the board add to the tab. Sometimes it'll open up the board in a whole separate another window, and that's fine too, just to be aware of it. We go back to control panel and we go to options. We're going to notice we have some different settings. The user interface should be the same, but we also have one for directories, and we're about to fill this out right now. So by default, the libraries in Eagle will be in this default location. So it may be different for Windows. So if we go to Finder, or if you're using Windows, it'll be File Explorer. And for the Mac, if we go to Documents, and I believe it should be the same for Windows, just Documents, wherever that is, and you go to Eagle, you'll notice that we have CAM, Design Blocks, Design Rules, DRUs, Libraries, Projects, etc., etc. And it should actually match up with this. So Documents, Eagle, and then these files. So here we have it pointing to libraries, and we have nothing in there for now, and we're going to populate it right now. So you guys can click OK. Feel free to change them if you put your stuff in a different location, but we're going to be using the default locations. So before we get started, don't worry about the commands I'm doing. If you go to add, you may see several of these files, and it's kind of hard to find out how to get started. I don't know what con Tycho is or what any of these are, and that's fine. Even with the libraries we're going to show you, it may be hard. Crystal sounds a little more familiar, but again, there's all these crazy things with all this interesting information that is a little intuitive to get started with. And pretty much what I'm trying to get to is finding components is really hard using the default Eagle libraries. Also, there's a powerful feature that we're going to show you with our libraries in just a moment. All right, so let's go get our libraries so we're all working with the same ones, and it's easier for us to show examples and easier for you to follow along. So we'll go to Google, and you can type project in a box. One word preferably, it'll be easier to find, and you can type in PIB Eagle libraries. So if you make that search, unfortunately it didn't come out at the top. Maybe if I put the underscores like this, PIB Eagle libraries, there we go. It's the top search. You can also just type in the window bar. You can click here You can also just type in Project in a Box and you'll be taken to this page. So github.com/project in a box. Pinned at the top is the PIB Eagle libraries. Alright, so these are several libraries made by myself and a buddy of mine, Brian Enriquez, and together we have made this library. Most of the parts we've made by ourselves, also using Eagle's package generator, which we'll show you very soon, or we've borrowed them from SparkFront, Adafruit, modified them to fit our library, and also have some interesting metadata that we'll show you very, very soon that makes your design really easy. So we've been populating this for a long time. To get started, you can either clone it using Git, or you can just download the zip. I'm going to show you guys using Git to get started. If you haven't Git installed on your computer, if you're using Windows, if you have a Mac, then you always have it, then you guys can go ahead and check out our GitHub tutorial to get started, to get set up for you, get set up for you. I like that. But I'm going to assume that you guys already know Git. If you don't, then you can download the zip and the process will be nearly the same. So I'm going to go ahead and open terminal. Again, you can do command space to open it up. Type in terminal. It'll open up a terminal for you. If you're not familiar with Unix, then you'll have to go ahead and check out our Unix tutorial to get more familiar with it. Otherwise, just follow the commands I'm doing and it should be very simple. So you should be starting in your default home. You'll see here, and we should have documents. So let's go ahead and change directories into documents, and then we can go further and change into Eagle, and then we see here we have libraries. So you go to libraries, and if you do clear ls here, you'll see there's nothing in it, and that's the same place we were when we were here. If you double click on libraries, it's the same library. So if you download the zip, then you're going to want to go ahead and unzip it into this folder and drag and drop it here, and I'm going to do that here by doing get clone, and then since we copied the link earlier, or if you haven't, copy it, and then you can paste the link. So get clone and then that particular link, push enter, and it'll download all our Eagle libraries right into your directory. So you can see that here they appeared, or in your command line ls PIB Eagle libraries, and from here on out I'll just show you guys on here. You can look into it and you see all our stuff. We have this new metadata updater thing, but don't worry about that. You don't even have to use it either. So one of the benefits of using Get is if you go inside PIB Eagle libraries, again, this is a Git repository. So as we make updates to the Eagle library, you guys can go ahead and do get pull origin master, and then you guys should be able to get anything that has been updated. So since I just put it in there, there's nothing to update, but you know, we update this quite frequently with new components and also updated components. You guys can go ahead and keep pulling it. You're welcome to contribute too. However, you're gonna have to contact us by making an issue or getting that to us at our emails, which are provided on the website. So we're gonna go ahead and close the terminal. We won't be using it for now. And if we go back to Eagle, we're gonna notice if we go to add that our components haven't appeared yet. So we're gonna have to go to open the library manager. So you can click it here. Also, what you can do is you can type in use or go to library, open library manager. But as you're gonna see, and I'll point out in the next video, we're gonna be using commands most of the time. And I'll go over that in excruciatingly detail very soon. So it may take a second to load the libraries. In the design, there's nothing because we don't have anything on our board or on our schematic. In use, it'll say that we're using all of these libraries. So right now, unfortunately, you have to do this every single time you launch Eagle. You can highlight everything, so Command A or Control A if you're on Windows, and you can remove all the libraries. It might take a second. As you can see, it got beach ball for a moment, but it should clear up in a second. And that's just because Eagle has tons of libraries with thousands and thousands of parts. The libraries we're going to use are going to be very small and also very easy to navigate because we've only got a couple hundred. Alright, so they've all been eliminated. Now if you go to available, you're going to see the same list as you can see here, but we're going to go to browse. We're going to go to, well, it should take you to libraries. If not, then you have to navigate documents, Eagle libraries, PIB, Eagle libraries, and then you have to go ahead and just select all. In Windows, you can do Control A. Unfortunately, in Mac, we have to click on the top one, hold down Shift, click on the bottom one, make sure everything's highlighted and click Open. And again, this may take a second, but it should be much faster. So now you'll see in the available list, we have all the default Eagle libraries as well as these PIB ones. So for the PIB ones, you may have some, or you probably won't have these ones that have the little blue. This means it's a managed library. I meant to delete those earlier, but don't worry about it. Highlight them all. Just click on the first one, hold down Shift, click on the last PIB one, and go to Use. So it should be about Use 23. There may be more. So if you click Use, then you go back to InDesign, and you'll notice it has all the PIB Eagle ones. So we should have about 23. And again, when you do this, there may be more because we added some more libraries. So if you go in Design, we have nothing here, which is fine. So you can go to Escape. If we want to modify our libraries, there's one more step that we need to take. So we're going to go back to Control Panel. If you go here on the left to Libraries, you're going to notice we have Libraries and Manage Libraries. libraries, but there's one more we want to add to this, and that is the PIB libraries that we just added into our schematic and our board. So we added it to Eagle now, but if we want it to be persisting, and also if we want to modify parts, we have to go add it to our directories. So back in the control panel, if you go to options, you should have an option for directories. And so we were here earlier, but now what we're going to do is we're going to modify this path or add to the path. So if we go to our Finder or Windows Explorer and you go to Documents, Eagle, and then Libraries, and you'll notice that all these are matching as we showed earlier, that we have our PIB Eagle libraries, whether you cloned it with Git or you just zipped it and opened it here or extracted it here. What we're going to want to do is we're going to want to add this path. So if you see here at the bottom, here is the full path, but if you also notice that it's just Documents, Eagle, Libraries, and for both Windows and Mac, I'm pretty sure that whatever the name of your computer is your home. So here, if you notice, this is a path environment variable for home, and if you see Document, Eagle, Libraries, we can do one of two things. We can add a new path, or we can just continue on this one. Because there's nothing else, there's no libraries in here physically. In Windows, I believe it comes with some by default, but since there's nothing here, you can go ahead and just modify and add PIB Eagle libraries like so. We can also, if you wanted, leave it as is and put a colon, and then I think for Windows it's a semicolon or it's a colon too, I'm not 100% sure. And then you can copy this path, paste it, and then add PIB Eagle libraries. And if you have new libraries that you add later or create yourself, you can just keep colon and add more of those. So if we do that and click OK, and then we go here to libraries, we see that we actually have the PIB Eagle libraries, and now we can go ahead and modify them, not only here, but also when we add a part. Now if you type in add, you guys have only the PIB Eagle libraries, and it's okay if you have all the other Eagle ones with it as well, but we're just going to show you guys how to get rid of them in case they're annoying to you, and that we're only going to be using the PIB Eagle one. We encourage you can go ahead and explore these, but this is all we need to do for now. And in the next clip, in the next video, we're going to actually go ahead and start learning Eagle. Cool. Later, nerds.